So the first thing that I've learned is that since I graduated at the end of 2022 with these degrees from Monash, is that degrees on its own are not very helpful in terms of being able to help you get a job, unfortunately. And I know it's a bold claim, but I think this definitely applies for the majority of us, unless you're doing a really specialized course. Pretty much what I will say is employees just, if you don't have any experience, you're going to have extremely hard time trying to find a job because employees just do not rate it. You could be applying for hundreds of jobs and you may only hear back from one or two people with even with a degree. So me personally, I had like close to a year of marketing experience and I applied for at least 50 roles. I only heard back from two or three people. And the only reason why they called me back was because of my experience. So then you might be wondering, well, what about grad programs? They're a good way for graduates who don't have experience. Well, I was in a grad program, and what I will say is that two things, they're extremely competitive. So I got invited to two assessment centers. The first one was for Bager Marketing Program. Over 500 people applied for it, and they only took in one. And then the next one was Vitacorp. 256 people applied for it, and they only took in six. So there's so few spots for so many people that are applying. And the second thing is that these grad programs, right? These businesses are still spending a lot of time and money in training you. So if a degree was good enough for you to be job ready, then why would these employees have to spend so much time and money to upskill you? I think that in itself shows you the value of degrees because they're pretty much theoretical based learnings that's not exactly, completely applicable to what's out there in the job market. So that's one thing that I've learned so far, the hard truth. So I'm now at Melbourne Uni, and let's talk about networking, how I've done it, and what's really helped me. So first of all, if you've graduated, literally just go on Facebook, Instagram, and start messaging people who were your former classmates, and just ask them what are they doing now, how did they end up in that role, what was their first job out of uni. That helped me so much because they were in this exact same position that I was. Here's some examples that I did. Honestly, probably best thing that I could recommend for you. And if you're in uni, just start adding people and just start asking people because some of your classmates are already working in that industry that they're studying, which I didn't, unfortunately. Number two, LinkedIn. The best use of LinkedIn is to just add people who have jobs that you want or that you're applying for, and then just ask them, how did you, land this role? Honestly, it's not many people will respond, but the ones that responded, I normally sent my first message was, I'll give you an example. I asked them things like, hey, I'm trying to get into this industry. Is it all right if I ask you a few questions as to how you did this? And you'll be really surprised as to how many people respond. And what I will say is if you're nervous about DMing people, like you got nothing to lose. If they respond, that's great. If they don't respond, what happens? What changes in your life? Nothing. So it's highly devastating. Honestly, just go for it and be proud of the fact that you went for it. And guys, one very important thing that I wanted to say was don't make job searching your whole life because it's probably not going to go well. And if all your life is job searching, you're probably not going to feel good as well. There are more important things than job searching, guys. So for me, what I did was I used that time to train jiu-jitsu and to start working on my YouTube channel. And I kind of had the mentality of, look, this is so amazing. I have so much free time to just do whatever I want. I don't know how long this is going to last, so I'm just going to make the most out of it. That's kind of the attitude that I have, and I'd really recommend you guys to just use this time to actually do something that you've always wanted to that isn't job search related. Trust me, it'll help you so much in the long term, and more importantly, it'll help you with your mental health. So second last one, something that I really struggled with was after I graduated uni, I had pretty much very little idea of what jobs I could do with my degree. And when I was researching, I saw jobs that were related to my degree, but I had never heard about. And then they were asking for things that I never learnt about. And so what I really learned throughout this process is you need to be really, really clear when it comes to your job search planning. So what I mean by that is you have to know really what jobs, the exact jobs you want, the title, what it entails, which industry you want to work in your long-term, goal. You don't have to have it all figured out, but just having something is way better than nothing. And then just as importantly, you need to know exactly how you're going to get there. A lot of these jobs you're not going to be qualified for, so you need to really figure out, well, how do I go from no experience to eventually getting that? And then a good way, if you don't know, is to try and work your way back. So say, for example, you want to eventually be a procurement manager. Figure out, how did a procurement manager become qualified to be one when they started off with no experience? Because everyone started off with no experience. So that's something that I've had to really, really learn. Being really, really clear and thorough with your job search planning. Alright, so last one, overcoming a lack of experience when applying for jobs. So this is a big one. For me to actually tell you how to do that, you need to understand why employees care so much about it. So pretty much, employers are asking someone to be able to do X, Y, and Z. So they think if you've done that exact same thing in the past, that's a pretty good reliable indicator that you can do it again. So the thing is, it's all about trying to prove that you can do those things. But work experience isn't the only way that you can show them that proof. So there's a lot of things that you can do instead. I'll tell you a few things that you can do. So number one, having a portfolio. So take an example of a photographer, right? To show that they're good at taking photos, they'll have a portfolio of photos that they've taken. And you might be thinking, well, wouldn't it be photos of past works that they've done? But it doesn't have to be. Like, you could just have photos of, friends and families you took in your own personal life. It doesn't have to be work related. And another example is, I was looking at a website from a graduate who did graphic design in marketing, and he literally just started, doing graphic designs of companies that he obviously didn't work for, that he wasn't paid to, and that counted towards his portfolio as well. So for example, I think I saw one where it was like creating a new logo for the UFC. Obviously it's not real, like the UFC didn't tell him to do that, but it still counts, So that's a really good one. And for the less creative industries, such as the more data things, I would recommend doing projects. So for example, when I was applying for a category buying assistant roles, I created an Excel project of a problem that was very typical of category buys, and in that Excel project, I just started solving it, and I used that as proof that I have the skills of a category buyer. I used ChatGPT to help me with it, and also I used ChatGPT to give me that Excel file. So yeah. Thirdly, volunteering. You don't need to have been paid for it to count as actual experience. So I was thinking of working in the events industry, so I volunteered to work on the event days for Ironman, and just having that helped me so much, because I got told by a customer service manager that people that worked in marketing at Ironman, they started off as volunteering, and that's how they got their connections, and then that's how they landed that job. So volunteering is a really good way. And the last thing is, I kind of call it doing all these little 1%ers to show that you're like a super, super strong fit. And it's so helpful to kind of put you above all those hundreds of applicants. So what I did was I actually followed up by actually calling the hiring manager and just pitching myself. That's how I got my job at Vic Uni in student services. Also, even if you don't talk to the hiring manager, there's still so much you can learn by just asking them questions. And also, these little 1% of things is you really want to show that you're a strong fit to work in that industry, that you belong there, that you're passionate about it. So for example, if you want to work in the university sectors in marketing, go volunteer for the opening day. Go join the alumni to alumni mentor program. Just having those two things shows that you're a strong fit for working in the university sector. So it's going to be seen favorably. So those are the things that's helped me overcome a lack of experience. Honestly, I think all that experience is kind of overrated, because, I'll tell you, just because you did it in the past, that doesn't mean you can do it now. No two situation is the same. Things are always changing, and the problem is, the more you do things one way, the harder it is for you to change. And that's so important in industries that are always changing. So guys, I kind of talked fast. I was really passionate about that one, because that is such a big hurdle for graduates. But yeah, guys, that's everything. Thank you so much for watching. And if you have any questions, let me know, and feel free to subscribe. And yeah, I'll see you on my next video. Cheers.